Marching in solidarity across the world, students from Northern Illinois University protest what they call America's continued backing of the genocide in Gaza.
23 News reporter Sydney Stoffregan talks to protesters who say they're showing Palestinians they're not alone.
Joining in peaceful protest, NIU students tell me the voices of the young are the most powerful voices in the country.
People are still standing against genocide and oppression.
Spreading their message of peace, several Northern Illinois University students joined schools across the nation and asking campuses to disclose and divest any investment supporting Israel. Hoping to reach other students, protester Nam Pham says their voices must be heard.
In other campuses across the nation as well too. The students also so building that community they have. So I think it's a very nice opportunity just to talk to other people, get dialogue with people and try to understand their perspectives and point of view.
President Joe Biden shared his thoughts on campus protests Thursday morning, condemning violent actions across the country. He says he'll always defend free speech, but stands up for the law.
I understand people have strong feelings and deep convictions. In America, we respect the right and protect the right for them to express that. But it doesn't mean anything goes. It needs to be done without violence, without destruction.
Student Khalil Barahawa believes the campus is a center of truth in America. He says if students are not able to speak out against injustice, then there shouldn't be a university.
We are not, brave or trying to take anything away from what's going on in Gaza. We are just doing what we feel is morally and politically right in this situation.
Barahawa says the coverage of campus protests should not take away from the Middle East conflict. He believes the focus should remain on those who are suffering.
Thank you, Sydney. And the students say their protests will continue until the university meets their demands.